Yo, what's up guys, Classic Con here with another video, and today we're going to run over the patch notes that have got some hefty nerfs in there for a lot of classes that I know people was going to main, and then there's some buffs for classes that probably not so many people was going to main. So this is going to shake up the whole tier list situation, which pisses me off a little bit, seeing as I'm literally 3/4 of the way through completing a tier list video for PvP for Season of Discovery. And now this has come out, and this is definitely going to shake things up just a little bit. But let's get straight into it anyway, guys. So first off, guys, we've got Druid. Now, rather than reading through all of this, I'm just going to basically pick the main points out. So, your Skull Bash now shares a cooldown with Feral Charge. Druids was looking insane because in vanilla, classes don't have a lot of mobility. So, it was going to be able to use Skull Bash as like a 13-yard charge ability. And that with the Feral Charge that they've already got would have just made them insane mobility wise, as well as that being able to get out roots and slows constantly by shifting. Druids was going to be a powerhouse, man, and I feel like a lot of people knew that, and not so many people was talking about it. Like there's going to be a load of OP sleeper druids just kind of sitting there waiting for their moment, and then druids would take over and everyone would be like, what the fuck, ferals are insane. Yeah, this is one of the reasons. And then we have Wild Growth, and instead of all party members doing 15 yards, it's now 40 yards, which is a nice buff, and the healing amount has been buffed as well over the duration. So that's a nice solid buff for Resto Druids. So honestly, Druids got off lightly with this round of nerfs because some of the other classes got hammered, man. Onto the Hunter now then, guys, and speaking about getting hammered, god damn, they hit these boys hard, but let's be honest, it was going to happen. So first of all then, guys, we have Lone Wolf, which now increases your damage by 15% when you don't have a pet, down from 25%, so that's a 10% damage nerf, flat 10% damage nerf across everything. Your auto attacks, all your abilities, everything now deal 10% less damage than they would have if you didn't have a pet out. And now we know that they're going to be adding pet scaling as well into Season of Discovery. I just hope that Lone Wolf is still a viable option and that pets don't take over. Honestly, in the ideal world, it would be almost equal. Like, there's no downside to taking Lone Wolf and there's no downside to keeping a pet. It's just a choice that the hunter gets to make. That would be a preference for me. I personally don't like the way the whole pet system works in vanilla. It's one of the things that stops me from wanting to play Hunter. I don't like to go out and farm new ranks of abilities and stuff. That just doesn't do it for me. I like more like the Wrath of the Lich King version of Hunter Pet, where you just get little talent points to allocate. I just prefer that system personally, but I know there's a lot of people that like the vanilla version of the Hunter and the pet system, and they still want to play with a pet, and they don't want to feel like they're forced into Lone Wolf. So ideally, these would be almost equally balanced. That would be great. And then, guys, we have the Sniper training, which is basically when you stand still for 6 seconds and you don't move, you got 30% increased critical strike chance. Well, now it's nerfed down to 10% increased critical strike chance. So for PvE, this is still going to be perfectly viable, but for PvP, it was a 30% crit chance increase that made you want to stand still for 6 seconds and made it worth doing in PvP. But now it's only 10%. Is it worth you standing still for 6 seconds, allowing the enemy front line to get towards you instead of you consistently kiting back and keeping that max range that hunters have access to? No, I just don't think it is, honestly. But we'll have to wait and see how this whole thing plays out. So hunters got hit pretty hard here, guys, but it could have been worse. At least they didn't hit our Chimera shot. Onto mages now then, guys, and Rewind Time got a buff. It got its cooldown changed from 1 minute to 30 seconds. And this is just the mage healing spec that they're working on. So they've half the cooldown of this ability, which is obviously a buff for mages. Onto the paladins now then, guys, and it seems like a huge wall of text, but honestly it's pretty simple. Beacon of Light took a nerf. You've now got to be in 40-yard range instead of the 60-yard range that you could be in, which just means you've got to maintain a closer distance to your beacon target. Crusader Strike took a heavy nerf. This is really going to affect rats. It goes from a 4-second cooldown up to a 6-second cooldown, which is a big nerf right there. And Divine Sacrifice cannot be used while you're under the effects of Blessing of Protection, Divine Shield, or Divine Protection, and prevents you from being targeted by those abilities while it was active. So you can't desac and then just absorb all the damage with some damage mitigation effect. It's not going to work like that, unfortunately. Another big nerf for Rets with the Seal of Martyrdom. It's now going from a cleave seal to a single target seal. You do now take 10% of the damage inflicted while the seal's active, but you gain mana equal to 10% of the damage you take instead of the original 2% that it was on. Now overall, this is definitely going to hit Rets pretty hard. It's definitely affected their cleave damage. It's definitely affected their damage output overall and just their DPS because of the Crusader Strike nerf. And the cleave damage nerf that they're going to get through the Seal of Martyrdom, going from a cleave to a single target, kind of sucks, but they still have Divine Storm, and that's some real nice cleave damage right there. So on to Priest then, guys, and Circle of Healing got a mana increase, so it went from 21% of your base mana up to 28% of your base mana, but the range of it went from 15 yards to 40 yards, which is nice. And then you've got Strength of Soul for your chest rune, and this has got an insane buff. So in addition to the original effects, targets of your power word shield will gain rage from taking damage despite the damage being absorbed. That's insane. And Righteous Fury will trigger from damage absorbed by your power word shield as if it were a heal. Priest was always the god tier healer in Classic, and this is just the biggest, bestest change they could have received, honestly. This is so big for warrior tanks because it was always an issue that whatever that absorb was on you, you weren't getting rage from any damage taken. The same applies in PvP, man. If you're an arms warrior and you're running around, you always want a Holy Pally. Priest is good, but you're not getting rage from the damage that you receive because it's being absorbed. But if the Priest slots this rune, then you're still getting the rage from the damage that you should have taken but is being absorbed. So this is an insane change. This is so good for Priest, man. On to Rogues now then, guys, and we've got Saber Slash has had its cost change from 55 energy to 45 energy. Not a big deal here for Rogues. I don't think many Rogues are going to take this rune, but for the Rogues that are, it's got an energy reduction, which just means that you're going to be able to press it more often. Happy days. Alright, onto the Shamans now then, guys, and Shield Mastery got a buff, so now each time you block, you get 8% of your maximum mana back, opposed to 4% that it was previously. We have Shamanistic Rage has got a nice buff and giving Shamans even more utility to bring to raids and parties. So now your party members within 40 yards also receive 10% of the mana you receive this way, which is solid. And we have what seems like a nerf to Way of Earth, but it's not, because this change pretty much has happened across the board to all of the off-meta tanks that they're introducing. I'm guessing they was doing way too much threat or holding way too much threat opposed to like the meta pick like warriors, so they had to bring them down a little bit. So while Rockbiter is active on your main weapon, you deal 50% increased threat opposed to 100% where it was previously. Honestly, I feel like Shamans got let off super lightly with this. I was expecting to see nerfs to Overload, removing Lava Burst from it, possibly even reducing the chance for it to proc, or further reducing the damage of its procs. I was expecting to see quite a lot of nerfs for this class, to be honest, because I think they're looking pretty insane. So all of this is minor. So they got 2 buffs and 1 nerf, but honestly the nerf's just the same across all of the new tanks that they're introducing in Season of Discovery. So Shaman's definitely still my main pick. On to Warlocks now then, guys, and it's a simple nerf, the same one that they hit Shamans with. You now only have 50% increased threat opposed to 100% increased threat that you did before when you were in Metamorphosis. The same what they did with the Shamans and the Rockbiter situation. Warlocks are perfectly safe. Warlocks are looking strong. There's a few abilities I feel like I was expecting them to hit, but they haven't hit them. So this is a big W for Warlocks. Onto the Warriors now then, guys, and we have Consumed by Rage being nerfed from a 25% melee damage bonus to a 20% melee damage bonus. Not too sure that Warriors needed nerfing, to be honest. Especially in the level 25 bracket. Got a feeling that they're gonna fucking suck, at least in PvP. For PvE, I think they'll be solid. And then we have Furious Thunder, which in addition to its original effects, it also causes your Thunderclap to deal 50% increased threat, which is fucking great. AoE threat on a proc warrior. Happy days. That's it for these patch notes then, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with what Blizz has done here. I don't feel like they've gone in too hard on anything other than maybe Hunters. I feel like they might have gone in a little bit too hard on Hunters, but time will tell. Hunters are going to be super strong anyway, especially in this level 25 bracket. Even if they had no changes, they'd still be a solid class, man. And Chimera Shot's still there. You still got the disarm. You're still going to be fucking chunking people. You're just not going to be one-shotting everything after you stand still for 6 seconds, which is probably a good thing, let's be honest. Other than that, I'd have liked to have seen some warrior buffs. I'd have liked to have seen Taste for Blood for warriors. Because don't forget, yes, warriors have got Warbringer, but you don't even have Berserker Stance or Intercept or anything in the level 25 bracket. You've got Quick Strike, which is going to be alright. I feel like warriors will be fine in PvE content, in the raids and the dungeons and stuff, and leveling up with Victory Rush. I feel like it's going to be a breeze for warriors. But in the PvP, in Ashenvale and Warsong Gulch and stuff, warriors are going to fucking suck, man. I'm telling you right now, they're just going to get ran over by everything else. They've just got nothing that's just solid. All of their runes and everything are going to be great late game. Just the runes that we already know right now, because warriors scale so hard, they're going to be great late game. But honestly, in this level 25 bracket, warriors are just going to get dusted, man, left, right, and center. Not going to be fun to be a warrior. But the same goes for a few other classes, such as enhanced shamans. You know, great, you can dual wield, but you haven't even got wind fury to level 30, so the level 25 bracket's not going to be fun for you. But with the warrior and with the shaman and stuff, the next bracket that we go to, level 40, these classes are definitely going to start popping off, and the whole meta is going to change. That's what's going to be cool about this. I expect this bracket, the level 25 bracket, to be heavily dominated by hunters, Ellie shamans, rogues just one-shotting people from stealth. With a reduction in the ambush and backstab, you're going to be able to ambush, backstab, vanish, thistle tea, ambush somebody, and it's just GG, man. Like, there's nothing that's going to survive that. You'd be lucky if they survive the ambush backstab combo. So rogues are just going to be one-shotting people left, right, and center. Though in the Ashen Vale clusterfuck that there's going to be, the rogues are going to be on the outskirts one-shotting people. So make sure you guys stay tight, man. So even if he does one-shot somebody and he blows his vanish to ambush you for a second time, your team can wipe him up. But yeah, 25 is going to be a load of fun. I feel like the 40 bracket's going to be a whole lot better. If you look at the 19 twink scene, which is the best thing we've got to base all of this off, personally, I used to play a 49 twink warrior, and I used to love 49 twink. I used to love that whole bracket. I was in a guild called Once Upon a Twink many years ago, and the 49 bracket's just so much more fun because everybody's got access to so many more abilities, and everybody's just a little bit tankier, and there's less gimmicky one-shot stuff going on. But that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, hit it with a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe, hit the bell notification. That way you'll be notified whenever I drop videos like this that are covering news. I'm going to be dropping tips and tricks videos. There's going to be a ton of Cataclysm content coming as that starts to slowly approach, but for now, it's going to be mainly focused on Season of Discovery. I'm going to show you guys where to get the runes. I'm going to show you guys what's overpowered and what's not, what needs buffing, what needs changing. I'm going to be doing loads of content, man, and it's all here right on this channel, and all you got to do is hit the subscribe button, and it don't cost you fuck all. But like I say, that's it for this video, guys. Peace.